Hey peeps, Suzanna here today for Spiegel Mom Scraps, and I am sharing with you this layout and the process video of how it came together. I used these stamps from Pink Paisley and a bunch of different mists. I did use a Shimmers mist from the store, the Spiegel Mom Scraps store. I also used a Heidi Swap mist, and I also used some of my Jane Davenport mermaid markers and a bunch of water. And basically what I did, you can see that watercolor palette right there to the left. I sprayed mist either on the stamp or in the palette, and then I sprayed water to activate like a watercolor, and then I just stamped that down on this 12 by 12 piece of watercolor paper. It was actually 12 by 18, I think, or 13 by 18, and I cut it down to 12 by 12. And I repeat this process over and over again to create a lake or a watercolor effect using this brush stamp. And I did spray the background, but it dried out pretty quickly, but you can see where that helped the color to pool a little bit, especially up that top left there. This is how I created the background, and I stamped to the bottom 2/3 of the page, but when I create the layout, I turn it the other way around so that all of the color is at the top. And basically, I just mix various inks, various colors to create different shades of blue to create a Monet effect of sorts for the watercolor to go with these pictures that I have of water lilies. We were on our way back from summer vacation in Savannah, and the total eclipse, the Great American Eclipse, was going to happen on our way home, and we timed our journey on the way home so that we could be in North Carolina to view the event. And we were able to find this lake that had a perfect view of a 97% eclipse, and there were water lilies around the lake. And so I recreated the lake scene through this watercolor technique here, stamping technique, to give a home to the pictures that I had taken of the water lilies. And it's a rather lengthy, messy process. You should have seen my hands afterward, but I'm really pleased with the way that it turned out. I really struggled with this month's theme, which is artsy, basically. We were allowed to take that theme and run with it. And I don't really like being artsy on my scrapbook pages because that is not my thing. I like clean, and I like clean lines. So I was able to take this stamp and create a background and make it work for me. And I'm really pleased with the way that it turned out. It was fun to do, and it was, while I wasn't thrilled with being pushed out of my comfort zone, I can say that I am thrilled with the way that this turned out. And I like the page. When I'm creating pages for design teams, I would like to be able to say that it's something that I'm going to put in my album. I don't want to make a page just because I have to. So I will gladly put this in my album, and I'm really pleased with the way that it turned out, and I hope you like it too. It was a kind of a fun technique to stumble upon. I was trying to find something to do, and I've actually got a second layout based on this same premise of using mists on this brush stamp and creating a background with it. So really it's those three things that I mentioned earlier, the two different types of mists and the mermaid markers, that provide all these different shades depending on how much they've been watered down. Cleanup wasn't bad either, which made it an even more, I guess, tolerable process. So this is a technique I learned from watercoloring, that if you just put clean water down, it pushes the color around, which creates some fun effects and sort of create a mottled look there. So there's the two pictures of the water lilies that I wanted to scrapbook, and I had cut, you can see those cut files to the left. I think Nikki Squirrel, I will put that in the instructions down below, who I got the files from. They're from the Silhouette Design Store, and I outlined them and cut out a few of them. You can see there in vellum, and so in order to provide a little bit more color and some balance to the layout, I watercolored two of the lily pads green, two different shades of green, so that my whole layout wasn't blue. So I'm just taking my glue pen there, and then I'm going to stick these vellum watercolored lily pads to the back, so that you can just see that color poking through the white. I liked the way that all of the white die cut elements stood out against the watercolor background that I had created there. So that's how those are going to go there. And I need one more, and I use a different shade of green to get that one done. These are my Koi travel watercolors. The watercolor, as wet as it is, did make the vellum curl, but it's okay because if you stick the glue on that die cut there, it sticks, and I didn't have any problem with curling or pulling up or anything else. You can see pretty easily went on there. So that is some additional color for my layout. The other thing that I did with my die cut machine was I did create a title, and the title just says Waterlilies. I wasn't able to get the eyes off of the dots for the eyes, but it's okay because you know what that means. So I just find a nice placement, some balance for all of these. I struggled with where that third flower was going to go, and I kind of do like it down below, but I've got it up top now, so I'm going to leave it there. One of the things that I do want to point out to you is I do use the Spiegel Mom Scraps Waterlilies sequence to decorate the rest of the page, and in that collection, you can see I just pushed it off to the side there. There is a pinky purple. However, my water lilies weren't pinky purple, and I did originally put some pinky purple sequins down on my page, but it was really, it made the layout lose the balance of color that I was trying to create. So I do end up pulling off the pinky purple ones and finding some other blues and greens from other collections that I have, and I can't tell you what collections they were because literally I just randomly pulled out greens and blues to replace the few pinks that I had on there. So I did back the pictures, and I also wanted a footer for this page, just something to kind of ground it because I've got all of that weight on the top 2/3 of the layout. I wanted that light strip from Ellie's Studio, to balance that out there. I did have vellum for the back of all the other pieces, the flower and the lily pads, but I didn't like the way that the vellum looked on top of the watercolor background that I created there, so I just left that. So here I am just assembling the layout. I did back both of the pictures. One was from the paper was from Cocoa Daisy. It's a Cocoa Daisy exclusive. And the other piece of pattern paper, I believe, is from Pink Fresh Studio. They were just scraps that I had pulled out that had those same blues and hues as the colors in the stamped watercolor background that I created there. So I glued down the lily flowers and then the lily pads, and it's hard to see that lily pad because it's tone on tone, but that's okay. It's a subtle effect, and it's part of the artistic look that I was trying to go for, along with the artistic theme of this layout. The other thing that I do off camera, I don't believe that you see, is I do journal. I made the journaling part of the artistic elements of the page, and I do cover up a lot of that white space right there. But it tells the story of how we came to be where we were to watch the eclipse. So just using my Prima glue pen to glue these down. And that is the bulk of the layout other than the sequence that I'm going to lay down. So I originally started with 3 clusters of 3 for my sequence, but I end up adding a little bit more just to create so that it looks almost like the Monet water lily paintings with the it's almost like the reflections off of the water is what I had intended for the sequence. While there isn't yellow in this particular layout, you can see the yellow in the greens, the green and the blue. I want to say the yellow and the blue create green, and so they're of the same color families and worked. So you can see here how those pink sequence pieces are a little annoying. And you really don't get a good effect of that while you're working with it. It's when you're looking over the layout that you see that best. So I had a hard time seeing that as I was working, and so that's how they ended up being pulled off. I'm just going to get my Scotch Quick Dry and glue those down. So that is my first of 3 layouts this month that will be created using the artistic theme. I have yet to do my other 2 layouts. If you have anything that you would like to see us do with sequence with an artistic theme to it, do comment down below, and maybe I might be able to do something about that for you. These process videos have been fun, and it's been a good way to push you outside of your comfort zone and try some new things. I hope you enjoyed the blog hop that we had recently and see the new sequence collections. If you find anything that you like, if you use the code Suzanna15, you can get 15% off. Thanks for joining us today. And again, if you have any suggestions for artistic videos coming up, please do comment down below. Enjoy these close-ups. Thanks for stopping in today. Take care.